Roberto Blake just uploaded a video on storytelling. I haven't watched it. I'm gonna bring the. I put the copied the link. I'm gonna post it. This is live, so I'll post it. Let me post it right here. I'll post it in the things after too. Roberto Blake. So this is about all this. If you read the title, this is about how storytelling. If you try to tell a story right, when people hear this coming, and worse, if you don't let people hear you coming, if you people will tell you keep things secret, and they're right, but they're also wrong. Since pounding drums, and see that's what I care about because I know people do too the most, but no one cares about it really when they where and how it's filtered through a whole bunch of motivations, natures, needs, and interests with time in relationship to positive that is maintained not by accident. When do you think it went away? Rolls with what was already entrenched here in layers before our founders were even born. When do you think went away? They didn't have free speech. They have people pretending. They have people where right we're in classes and everything where it's needed for other motivations off the record, not realized, off the record realized, but mixed. See, they don't even see how this is facilitated. Every every president, every chief had states and areas below them criminally foreign influenced, precedents, fake ethics, integrity. We have ethics lawyers involved with racketeering, originally and still, victim predators of criminally foreign influence, fact sheet in nature, and styles, and of logic's course. These are criminally foreign influence logic experts, people that think for them. Database organized crime roles, organized crime racketeering. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police force, I'm not a criminal. Since founding, American history is about how they use lawyers, fake sides of fact cheap nature, fake middles, fake delusions, criminally foreign influence, styles of fact cheap nature worse, maintain, note, sustain, therefore sustain life progressions, therefore sustain needs for everybody for a whole bunch of array of motivations, natures, needs, and interests to keep everyone's correlation nature hurt, forced to respect ahead of time and to play, act. Reliance titles never had integrity. Their vetting is recorded, involved, used to pretend not to realize offensive homeland areas and states criminally foreign influence roles. Not even debatable, but with lies, physical delusions, crime methods, formal, in collusion with this originally and still. Each branch of government, a very high crime predator, each individual of it, grouped and together. Same thing in every modern nation. We're in an identity of negative value nature progression, not by accident, everyone blaming the real causes of it on other things, others themselves. Someone this is a crime method that keeps everyone incapable of speaking about the past. If they try to protract it, they bring forward. If they try to protract it, it means where someone's going to hear it. They bring forward forging names, switching names, and pretended theater. So then they invest people further, needing to lie with investigators into branch because these are grouped and then together. And then we have to deal with the individual and the group of the executive and the judicial branch. That reveals their sources into branch. How maintain victim predators. This is like a magician with another nature, a method of racketeering that came since before there was any sophistication here. that was right through and while being the value of the tactically denatured relationship to nature, zoning laws, negative value nature progressions from nature and demonstration of that, note containing life progressions, pseudo positive roles with, with criminally re-engineered quality of ancient sciences, which was valuing how we are individual and why we are individual, grouped in species, nature, or volume, three natures of volume, which is beyond that, the inherent, active, and progressive. These are three natures of volume, all in demonstration how they only fill, and how it is by two other same natures of one complete nature that is simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly the three semi-natures that is in our range of positive, and of the five semi-natures that is with this, that are with this, and with the value, with as the value of that together, distinctly and non-distinctly. This is the identity of space and of forever, distinctly and non-distinctly. This is the identity that space and forever are together, distinctly and non-distinctly. And so simultaneously, as a gaining natures of volume, as the identity of three natures of zero, with one identity that is gaining them. As the value of one at one, and with zero left to right, and as the value at 10, at the one at 10, with zero right to left at the same time. I just remind the sciences share an identity boxing that tells us things. And behold, please subscribe to the YouTube channel Anthony Wall, aka Romulus, and we will be Romulus together. Because the only when a nation, which each modern nation is a victim, you see the only problem is that each modern nation is invested, only capable of maintained, only capable of blaming the cause of other things other than themselves. What maintains this is simultaneously what is maintaining the outcome of people associated with our nation's Justice Department, Justice and Pentagon, intermilitary, Coast Guard, inter identity of the grounds relationships from what is intercampuses, but from off the ground of education on off campuses already in layers. And then it exploits the database organized crime role because it keeps for our directors and other nations' directors in collusion with nations that don't like each other on paper. They share psychology racketeering. They share medical racketeering. They share needs to hide lie progressions, needs to hide their actually recorded natures, needs to prevent speech simultaneously while misprisioning, uh, pretending to be for free speech, valuing not by accident already facilitate all kinds of natures of crimes with each age of fact sheet natures databases. It's reliant upon them pretending. So we have positives course is about identity. Negatives course is about identity. And this is a course about the difference between logic as criminal insidiousness nature, which we still have states and areas inclusion within as criminally foreign influence, left criminally foreign influence, criminal insidiousness natures. Lie progressions from each branch individually grouped together in collusion with the same nations they hate, they fight against. Then what do you have to do? So these are all people relying upon experts, but then when it comes time, they want to make opinions anyway. So get the experts to one name and sequence because they're forging names and switching names and recording with sequence shifts other natures of federal crimes like predicate acts, mail crimes, wire crime methods, mail crime methods, database crime methods, uses of the identities of the location, like the FBI around New Haven, on off the shared policing, like New Haven and Hartford and other cities, triages associated with doctors who are also have badges and associated ones with badges, ones without it too, foreign and domestic, in collusion with overt foreign medicine crimes, racketeering, and roles with the overt racketeering drug clicks, criminal uses of tied untimely deaths, ties between untimely deaths that are otherwise unconnected, connected to a pattern of preventing mandated law, where and as and how originally and still we have each branch of government together grouped and together with crime methods and natures recorded with extortion. That's what's really involved with people stacking in New York City is extortion that was already effectively long having been with an organized crime breaching method, keeping everyone blaming the causes of other things other than themselves. The causes of it go back to what went with us to World War One, which was both which was already entrenched here. The breaching organized crime sicker than any person's name you know. This is from semi-ancient times, but since before modern religions, messengers. Thank God for them. They saved English. Proofs. That's most scientifically discernible. But their own religions are recorded, not let their voice. They knew this was going to happen per the design of the first parts of them. Never let value. And where value is here, with the subject and the predicate with invisible but still discernible value. When we communicate, we're using about life where this is invisible, but still discernible value extensions. Where and has and how, again, this volume only fills. It lifts and gifts right here with evolution's way. Or else it leaves of ideas, it goes. See, invention is not evolution is not an invention. And from a base, originally still criminally foreign influenced, rolls with what is from off the victims, but victim predators self-valuing not by accident what was from off the ground of education on off campuses and layers. Maintained fake sites, hundreds of nations shared trade center value treatments with our directors, standing chair people on organized crime statutes, on agreements in relationship to this, negotiated with abridged constitution originally and still. You can't really teach about and do anything but worse than obfuscate what abridged constitution means. One way redeems with this theater still. That theater forced. So science never had its voice. They are using victims maintained to maintain recorded to maintain as weapons. Each podium, each platform pretends, oh, who's going to be the one though? Only a few people can do this. Follow mandated law. They can't do it. These are the people that are pretending to be against everything. These are racketeering roles with databases, with identity theft, identity fraud. I'm not a doctor. I'll delineate their delusions and their recorded criminal foreign influences and roles with this nature of racketeering, private and overt criminal enterprises recorded with them originally and still acting together. The overt criminal enterprises needed to hide the same finite, active, and progressive lies with the branches individually grouped together. All bunches this identity theft, because these are sequence shifting rackets, natures, roles two together recorded. Uses of Facebook for this. Racketeering with the FBI, pretending to be against that offensively. Offensive evidence fabrication, racketeering. That's what uses of color is. When someone asks you what is Jim Crow, it is offensive evidence racketeering roles. Forced. It is misprision propagation. Effectively maintain self-value, self-cultivated. And then all stayed to roles. Motivations, needs, natures, and interests, incapable of doing anything but valuing all the others of each age of fact, cheap nature hurt. Incapable of only extensive but not complicated protraction of correlation nature's identity. Its identity of relationship to itself, actually. And the protraction of that is of sequence true. Now, see, this is regarding the identity of the ground, let alone I'll gather round. It's native pure. So we're not going to play the fact cheaping nature racketeering roles entertained by the Native Americans because they were forced to entertain it. You can't just talk about what divided the Native Americans if you're not talking about why we're not supposed to have torture, why it was that we were never relinquished from this torture. That was to make itself valued. What forced zoning laws so individually grouped, and also all together, no one would be able to afford means because that's how nature works. If you're not the science caring about what is the order to the finite, the order to the active, and the order to the progressive simultaneously and with sequence true, and as identity's true course, nature will demonstrate the ancients were. And it wants its campus back. It needs it now. The names. Fake branches bow and fall. Fake news is real. They're recorded. They're recorded pretending it's personal. Then when they protract it and they protract federal crimes against your kids, these are people lying about our behavior. Then they're pretending they're scared when you have to raise your voice. Trying all different ways to get it. They're lying about our behavior with the sequence shifts too reveal this. Forging names, switching names. Whole families attaching people to fake conversations through time that are exploiting database relationships. A whole bunch of people with police forms in my area associated with a Detective Dillon, a Sean Dillon, and an Anna Dillon. A whole bunch of intercity police forms and natures of courts involved with Park Street, places around the state capitol, places around former director of the FBI's off Farmington Avenue. There are roles with the Narcan people and with those drug dealers and stuff like that. And as the people involved with criminal body dumping spots like Billy Grasso's. Whole bunch of overt criminal enterprises, federal crime acts roles with a whole bunch of federal criminals as and tied to the federal criminal code defendants and former director of FBI, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a whole bunch of racketeering with the networks, with people on off Trinity College and CCSU attached me to fake conversations and relationships to others. People from my town that I never had anything to do with on those college campuses, others pretended. And their roles with like a Detective Samuda, and never was an arresting officer of me. He came into a court and pretended he was an arresting officer of me. Police from a whole bunch of different towns. He's also pretended I was in a hospital, that he was my steward. I was never even in the hospital. These are people out of their mind. These are people forging names, switching names, all kinds of medical drug crime rackets roles, and with foreign and domestic with shared policing of hospitals, not by accident. Shared policing, so then it bleeds into the real medicine. They owe too much to have sick, punk, degenerate people associated with these medicines that pretended to know me growing up, involve identity theft, identity fraud, worse. They have the counters to everything because they use the identity of the FBI itself. They use their roles with wire crime methods, with mail crime methods. They're going to defend their identity because that's a narrative that they're supposed to do that because we have the sub rosa. We have active body of value racketeering, wire crimes, attaching us to fake recorded things, Boxings. There are two Mendez police. A whole bunch of people have recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with them, with evidences racketeering, identity theft, crimes with drugs, crimes with sexual abuses of girls, cliques, with judges retired and standing. Their crime acts roles with the prisons and the sick people that work with them, and medicine people. They drug people. These are people they tried to kill. Thank God. There's a Dr. Graham recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with recorded crimes with child sex offenders, foreign and domestic doctors, crimes. Their uses. These are people with former work for the FBI down involved with criminal enterprises and houses in my area associated with with a bunch of his federal criminals co-defendants in a 2006 case. These were people with crimes with police forms leading up to that and in it, and then leading up to the Trade Center attack and in it with a proven sequence shift, post-dated documents inside the Ninth Circuit Trade Center attack contact, Manhattan. Now, these are also people involved with crimes in Washington, D.C., New York through time, and with the Trade Center victims. Criminal uses of the Keene family by the people associated with the racketeering, with the medical corruption, whole bunch of natures of database crime acts rules, mail crime rules, wire crime rules, with people on Church Street in Old Wethersfield, people with the corner of that, and spots all the way up there to CCSU right through Newington, involved on and off CCSU, also crimes with Russians, with fire departments involved with them, embedded with the medical campuses, locations on off these medical campuses with the cliques, with the overt criminal enterprises, crimes with them through time. Whole bunch of police forms retiring and standing of people from my town associated federal crimes racketeering with Fox Connecticut News, with the building police, with a whole bunch of cases they're already for crime acts rules with, and with shootings by police officers, and again with tortures and extortion methods and original identity theft and identity fraud and torture, and worse, fact-cheating nature slavery of people of the north end of Hartford and Wethersfield in conjunction with this, and with Rocky Hill, and with each city distinctly and non-distinctly, because that's what this is. But this is what is non-distinctly that we have to counter. See, but we never got how it's. We never get through the comparison to see Trinity's value nature relationship to itself as anything but criminal insidious nature, as anything but an identity of negative value nature progression. Since semi-ancient times, I'm speaking science. I'm not speaking ideas. See, we have sequence shifts now demonstrating this. We follow the sequence shifts. I'm on the Facebook, before I came on Facebook, see, I was a kid, there was demonstration of this being a database tied organized crime. Now there's a Scalora family, and there are others who use Facebook, and they use locations on off campuses to pretend to perceive things, to have people say things so they could try to pretend, but instead of asking direct. Like the Scalora family, the whole bunch of people in the Scalora family involved with racketeering through time, with a whole bunch of interbranch police forms families, and with the DeMoro family, with other families recorded and confessed involved with that, with the rest of the child sex offenders, like a Phil Clough, also involved in identity thefts, identity frauds, and all kinds of sequence shifts and crimes against inter-family members, like lying, the crimes with wire crime cliques and mail crime cliques, drug crime cliques, formal, informal. He's also, this Phil Clough is also involved with the racketeering acts and rules of the Mendez police brothers, forging names, switching names, falsified police forts, pretending things recorded, pretending me a conversation. I never had a conversation in my life with Janito Mendez. I only know him because his name was repeated and he walked by me. They used to do things like that for perception. They do all kinds of natures of crime associated again with databases. Now, they also make fake news. They have the right to do per statutes that say so. but they have criminal uses of those statutes because there are criminally exploiting exceptions in perjury racketeering that's affected already their their treatments of everything. They're stuck. They're really sick predators more than the overt criminal enterprises like Los Solitos and like other foreign and domestic overt criminal enterprises and private ones and interbranch racketeering acts roles of WFSB and of Fox CT with the same people on and off Fox Connecticut's building. Also, buildings next to them are involved with database crimes. Now, this also demonstrates what Homeland Security was brought into and as, without addressing this first, these sequence shifts. These are organized crime roles also with ISIS involved with racketeering with this with what is internet interfaith sides nations like Russians and Americans involved with a whole bunch of racketeering with doctors of psychology, especially the ones with badges, especially the ones with not too foreign and domestic, real sick family members also themselves associated with all kinds of racketeering with each age on and off campuses where it is maintained their needs for that from off campuses and on and off it per crime methods. A whole bunch of people associated with a Leahy family through time. Now, the police forms are recorded, confessed, and demonstrating forging names and switching names with them, and mail crimes and wire crimes, and other natures of predicate acts and of sequence shifts, names forging and switching. So they're preventing counters to this. They're using state, they are and recorded have and are confessed and demonstrated having been using state's attorneys in their office buildings, especially New Britain Superior Court through time, especially places in Hartford through time. I just remind, they fail. See these places where they have the patterns through time, through generations. That's not voting. That's not value, but to pretend voting and while pretending not to realize that real free speech is integrity is not loud protraction. It's not loud. So they need to protract the roles with what they're doing with the child offenders, especially the woman roles with the grammar schools. And this is with the many people, especially women, men, and women doctors and women in their family associated with Leahy family through time. Real bad woman in a Brendan Leahy family. His son with the same name involved with a whole bunch of racketeering crimes. With this just reminds. The house is in my area too. Frank conversation with John, a whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts involved with them with racketeering leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, leading up to and in a Connecticut 2006 case, district court, and leading up to and in other Connecticut cases. Now, Hartford Hospital, the Institute of Living, was instituted in 1822. There was slavery in Hartford associated with this place. This is associated with what George Washington had to come to Weathersfield/Hartford and leave overt slavery with color right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, even with the French general's help, meeting with him in Weathersfield, Connecticut, right next to Hartford, Connecticut. Trinity College used to be called George Washington College. Now, people around these locations are the ones involved with the FBI and with the CIA, with their family members, with the foreign and domestic police forms and overt criminal enterprises, not just undercover, but actually crime racketeering acts together and nature's actually together. Now, these are also people crimes with the prisons cliques, with their prisoners before they were in there, with the crimes with the patients of those prisoners, crimes with the prison guards and their family members involved with the racketeering and uses of the locations involved with like the body dumping spot of the serial killer, uses of the involved with foreign and domestic military with predicate acts, war crimes, on off CCSU, child abuses, elderly abuses roles, criminal uses of on off campuses training, all the departments of the schools. You fools. See, especially then UConn has a whole bunch of people that professional and be especially because the criminal justice schools, but especially the ones with medicine involved with psychology, because these are the most roles with the racketeering per the recorded in having to be addressed individually and group. The judicial and the executive racketeering methods recorded, actual natures recorded, no criminal insidiousness nature. So this is how we're going to have to discipline the law because they're keeping everyone fake, scared, and this is recorded. And who pretends that is everyone sharing, like pretending that they for if you ask calmly to have about this. I'm trying to report judges forging names, switching names, crime act roles, sequence shifts, federal crimes with the uses of their Facebook pages interbranch with child sex offenders, with other natures of racketeering, with their family members also involved with it. Also, prosecutors retired and standing, long-standing, what they call lifetime prosecutors. We have we have ill trained branches, victim predators, the same way they make overt criminal enterprises, because these are roles with areas racketeering originally still. All motivations, natures, needs, and interests juxtaposed. We think motivated roles with slavery, nothing natural, but through criminal foreign influence, organized crime method, using human fact treatment nature, using offensive evidence reception racketeering, using behavior racketeering roles. Now, Facebook is involved with this, and it's not because they're being coached to it. They're maintaining this is what they do with the bankers. Follow the sink rate shifts, not the money. That's why they're paying them so much money. One of the reasons, because they're victims of what is negotiated with the trade center. You can't. In other words, there's negotiated with. You can't entertain that and tell our American history at the same time. So, for example, it's never been told, not by accident. Theater has been told. It only hurts as that, not by accident. That's why. That's why no one ever gave correlation. Science never spoke for areas. Science uses the identity of the ground. I'll gather around. So, what do I have to do? Write a map? We need fast speed because they make you fight. Everyone, there are women, little kids recorded being coached. No one wants to counter insidious branches that are offensive evidence perception coaching roles with their racketeering. So now they're lying about my behavior with the sequence shifts. They're lying because these are police forms that are involved with sexual abuses of girls when they were kids. All natures of abuses of them. Database crime roles, wire crime roles, collusion they made them go to, mail crime roles, the collusion they made them go to, like Heather Hansen, her family, her brothers, criminal uses of the identity of the ground relationship. Whole bunch of people associated with locations downtown Hartford. People associated with this path to CCSU from my town. Whole bunch of people on Church Street gather around, right where George Washington had to come to meet with the French general right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. No, remember, having to leave slavery with color in the North here. A crazy, crazy, crazy breaching organized crime method. Laws against everyone as a slave. If you talked about this, positive is a commodity by identity's actual course. And so by this one, that all came through. All others too. That all any course of logic, not this, is wrong. Boxing is strong. Sequence true, the order to the finite, the order to the active, the order to the progressive at the same time. And prayer is to an extent, and checking when it's not an extent. trying to figure out it's an active process. It's correlation by these three natures of volume. By the five, they are together too. By the one, that's what the correlation of. Because a little bit more of itself comes in perfect with our value, male and female. Not just youth and not just parents and kids. A little bit more of a semi nature. And with that semi nature, and with alpha's value, and with omega's value, which can't be everything can be simply the yin yang's value. I forgot what in other words. Oh yeah. There's that complete identity's complete relationship to itself. That is unchanging both simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly. And relationship to each nature of volume distinctly and non-distinctly too. And so even though it's invisible, it is still discernible. Even beyond the progressive value we are, we know only to death. Science reveals that even that death is also already a semi-nature. And that semi-nature already has a complete nature of relationship to itself, which shows when you use volume science, not volume theory, where it is and has now it's volume theory too. They put volume theory first because these are racketeering roles like shock and awe. We have a whole bunch of nations, hundreds of nations grouped sick, and you're not allowed to talk about that. Shared policing undercover, masked suits and ties, shared pathology of infrastructure, and so of private infrastructure, little facades of businesses, shared police, roles with databases. This is a pathology and a relationship to databases and pathology of infrastructure designed by what was entrenched here since before our founders' birth. The pathology of homes and of means to them set forth with these narratives of the market positions recorded, criminally foreign influenced here and there, self valued that way. Each age of fact, human nature came through campuses since semi-ancient times, criminally foreign influenced. Campus Marcius came from the ancients, not the semi-ancients, not Detroit, not Ohio. The Campus Marcius came from the ancients when the entire species was valuing how we are individual and why we are an individual active and progressive nature of volume at the same time, while we are individual, grouped, and species nature of volume simultaneously as value. Because this is value's course, is identities. So to tell a story, you have to be unaccosted by the branches of government. I've been trying to speak about a campus that has a whole bunch of men and women involved further with child abuses. And these are people involved with Justice Department racketeering. That is recorded demonstrably rolls with what is maintenance to streams and courts each day, including innocence. Hear many pray. So fake news is real. And these are also people with crimes right through administrations with Russians. And they're recorded conscious of this. This is even known. No, Mr. Rumsfeld, believe, with known and unknown. See, now ISIS, in the beginning of the Old Testament, they don't have that value because they have intersciences, the intercampuses, databases used for an organized crime method that keeps each branch of government individually grouped together, keeps each database relationship group needed to highlight progressions for a crime method that maintained that originally and still self-valued. Roles with means and needs and natures to get away with it, self-valued. So, like when we come to speech, like with like Abraham Lincoln, when in the course of human events. See, this is the theater. He was still a victim predator. We have we can't entertain that nature of theater for the words we need to defend against the nature of theater that is criminal and insidious nature, that has a whole and had a whole bunch of bonded criminal natures of criminal insidiousness nature. If you help me defend my free speech and correct all the bad things against me and others here, especially New York City, especially the place I draw, which I second you tell me anyone, someone you want help for your whole spot there to help you in them, not just me. Because who am I? But I'm saying even me with without the means, like these big guys and women, which we shouldn't even ask a woman to. We shouldn't even have to fathom what people are in right now. Let alone at the same time people pretending we're free and then they're about science or ethics. We have the physical delusions and have racketeering involved with our ethics experts. But see, we have criminally foreign influence scientists that victims of this intercampuses crime method against each age of fact, human nature simultaneously, sickly, distinctly too. So it could be undiscerned. So how simultaneously, sickly, non-distinctly. These are not means. One way alone is means, or this stays. And that knew that this built these negative value nature progressions to keep the life progressions in it, self value. To keep the standing life progression, cover up nature styles, self value. So now we're coming to the devil. But before we can present this as a theater, we have to consider that they want to put theater first. Because we have our directors recorded you involved with racketeering. We have the writers associated with them recorded involved with racketeering. Just like everyone was with that still. It's all right, but it's in the way of mandated law. Then they want to make opinions anyway. Then they say, "Oh, well, no one liked that guy." Of course, you don't like them. You guys need to pretend to be about positive by what things look like. All only allowed quality fact sheet nature that allows experts to think for you. Those experts are recorded sick souls, victims, but victim predators. You never heard an expert on logic, not criminally foreign influenced and or involved with that, indirectly even. It's not if you want it's directly too. That's what American history is about. What do you think went with us to World War One? Besides what was righteous about George Washington, even though he had to leave in other words, no, he had to leave overt slavery with color in the North. Note that with the Institute of Living in Hartford, Connecticut, still there. 1822 instituted. These people are involved with a whole bunch of recorded organized racketeering acts and methods. Whole bunch of niches and courts involve crimes with them. Intercities, they're a family member, a whole bunch of people, they just stack names. They're stuck now. So they just forge names, switch names more. You know, sick courts have been with them for too long. Oh, but it's mental, and you're not a doctor. What do you know? They're racketeering acts together. The racketeering natures recorded together. Their physical delusions together, recorded. Their criminally foreign influence, fact treatment nature, styles, and natures of convictions with their premises treatment natures, recorded. Their sequence shifting predators, recorded. There are wire crime, mail crime methods recorded. There are high predators in cases already. There are a whole bunch of natures of gun crime rolls, poison crime rolls, with and as people supposed to be against that stuff, as associated with what how sick they have with hospitals each. They have they have live progression cover bracket needs and roles and natures, adapting right through time. I just remind CCSU, they hid this from you. You know how much of they're stacking. You know they hid this from all those parents. This is how they get people to collusion roles, making opinions to what other people tell them. Whole bunch of Weathersfield schools further involved. Whole bunch of people tied to the houses in my area with untimely deaths. The drug cliques with the overt criminal enterprises, other natures of federal crimes with them against me. Fake conversations with me tied to that too, their drug cliques. Fake ties to me. Because then they got stuck with their narratives where they use those drug cliques for and roles with fake with falsified police reports all the time interbranch, intercampuses. You are missing on much. Intercampuses of each age, each nature, tie, now. Shared policing of the stores. One way employee. No, yes. YouTube.com slash YouTube.com/user/Romulus Wall. I hear you all. Species coach. See, the sequence shifts. They don't want you to heal. They can't let you heal. They just need to delay. Fake news is real. CT must drop to ground. Seed must stay.